Good evening and welcome to the November 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the San Diego Community Power Board of Directors. I am Joe LaCava, Chair of the Board, representative for the City of San Diego. Welcome the members of the public, community power staff, board members joining us in person today, and those joining remotely. I will now call the November 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Directors of San Diego Community Power to order. Kimberly, please call the roll.
City of San Diego representative,
LaCava present.
County of San Diego representative, Imperial Beach representative,
Here.
La Mesa representative,
Garrett here.
National City representative,
Amani here.
Chula Vista representative,
John McCann present.
Encinitas representative. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. Let's please stand if you're able. The flag. Your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As Kimberly mentioned, we do have a quorum. And next up on the agenda is special presentations and introductions. And Kimberly, if you and or Ryan could let me know if member Hensley shows up, then I'll show up to make her statement. There. So let's begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the land of the original inhabitants of the greater San Diego region. The land acknowledgement is a critical step towards working with Native communities to create meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their cultural resources and homelands. Let's take a moment to honor those ancestral grounds that were the traditional lands of the Kumeyaay. Next, we would like to welcome yet more new staff members to the Community Power team.
Chair LaCava,
Yes.
Director Hensy has joined.
Member Hinsey, I believe you need to make a just cause statement. Or
Let me see. I've promoted her. Let's see. Okay, she's joining as a panelist.
okay.
On just a second. She should be able to do that now.
Okay, I can see you now. Yes, I am here and I'm joining remotely as provided in the Brown Act provisions. The amendment allows me to participate remotely due to a contagious illness. And there is somebody in the room with me who's over 18 and it's my husband.
All right. Well, wish you the best, Member Hinsey. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So we'd like to welcome new member to Community Power team, Aaron Hudak, Compliance Analyst, and Deanna Gonzalez, Risk Manager. I'm going to take 30 seconds or a minute to introduce yourself. Whoever wants to go first.
Sure.
Is it fun? Yeah. I'm Diana Gonzalez.
Got it.
Pleased to be here with you all today. I'm a native Angelino, so I'm not from San Diego originally. And prior to SDCP, I was doing energy risk management at an investor-owned utility.
Great. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Erin Hudak.
No? Okay. Hi, I'm Erin Hudak. I am joining as compliance analyst. I am originally from Orange County, now San Diego. I've been here for a few years and I've made it my home. I just graduated from the University of San Diego School of Law, got my JD and just passed the bar. And before this, I was working as with Ty Fossil for outside counsel for SCCT and a few other CCAs. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, congratulations on passing the bar. But congratulations to both of you joining a great organization. So with that, we'll move on. Are there any items to be added, withdrawn, or reordered on the agenda?
There are not.
They're not. All right. So now we'll take up non-agenda public comment. I want to note that written public comments submitted before the board meeting were emailed to all directors prior to the board meeting and will be posted on the website at the beginning of the meeting. Kimberly, do we have any non-agenda public comment?
No, we do not.
All right, right along. So we'll move on to the consent calendar. That is items 1 through 11. Yep. They are the approval of the October 26, 2023 meeting minutes, and then receive in file on items 2 through 10. The treasurer's report for period ending September 30th, 2023, to June 30th, 2023 fiscal year-end audited financial statement, update on programs, update on power services, update on human resources, update on customer operations, update on marketing and public relations, update on community advisory committee, and update on legislative and regulatory affairs. Item 11 is approval of the 2023 Procurement Council Legal Services Request for Proposal Contract. Item A is approval of the amended and restated engagement letter with Keys and Fox for up to $500,000 per year for legal services. B, approval of engagement letter with Perkins Coie LLP for up to $200,000 for legal services. And C, approval of the engagement letter for Sunridge Legal LLP for up to $200,000 per year. Are there any directors that would like to pull items from the consent calendar?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull 11 for discussion.
All
I'd
right.
be happy to make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to move consent items 1 through 10.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
would like to make a comment on item number 6, please.
You want to make a comment?
Yes.
Oh, you can just make a comment now. That's fine.
Well, item number 6, I just wanted to commend our CEO for gathering this energetic and intelligent group of people to make sure that our organization is successful. Thank you so much.
So we do have a motion to move items 1 through 10 on the consent. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So with that, Kimberly, please call the vote.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hensy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we will now go to item 11, which is the approval of Procurement Council Legal Services on 3 different contracts. Do you have a specific request? Do you want a presentation?
Yeah, no, I just have a small request. I just, I know we've had some conversations with staff, I think I'm on the board about when we're doing vendor contracts to have some sort of term limit to the time of them. And I think the ones that's presented to us don't have that. And so I just wanted to ask if we could approve these on the condition that they have a period of time of 3 years before the agency would directing staff to go back and to do an update for RFP or otherwise other procurement. And I'm okay if that's written in the contract. I'm okay if it's just a direction to staff.
Okay, can I get something on the record? I see some nodding heads in the audience, but can somebody speak to this? Do you want to, or staff, or Kenny?
Thank you. Appreciate that. So Kenny Key, Director of Power Contracts, helped run the RFP for this. I don't think that'll be any issue whatsoever. So appreciate that comment. I think that's a good addition to this.
So I'll move approval of item 11 with a condition that the contract text or a direction to staff be memorialized that the staff will do an updated procurement no later than within 3 years.
Okay,
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
is that clear direction to staff?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess just to explain, I just think it's just a good general process to check out your options once in a while and if you like your folks, you're probably gonna win the procurement, so it's okay, but it's always good to take a fresh look from time to time.
Okay, well, thank you for catching that. And thank you, Kenny, for a quick response. So with that, so we do have that motion. Kimberly, please call for the vote.
Yes, and just for the record, there were no public comments on the
Oh,
agenda.
yes, my apologies. Thank you for catching.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hensy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you to staff for the good work on the consent items. So we'll move on to item 12, which is an update on the quarterly report for the Community Advisory Committee. And I'll turn it over to Ziamalis Crespo and the CAC Chair, Matthew Vasilakis, to present this item. I believe 8 minutes.
We'll try to be even more concise than that. Good evening, everybody. My name is Xiomara Crespo, Community Engagement Manager.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Vasilakis. I'd like to formally introduce myself as the newest chair of SDCP's Community Advisory Committee from the city of San Diego. I'm excited to be working with the board to continue building community support and engagement for SDCP. The CAC ensures transparency and community-focused program development and management. And yeah, just really thrilled to be here in this capacity.
Great, thank you, Matt. So next slide, please. At the July regular meeting of the Board of Directors, staff presented a summary of CAC activities from April through June. This report summarizes July through October, but please do note that it does not include August, a month in which the CAC took a recess. Over the last quarter, the CAC has convened 2 ad hoc committees on programs and community and equity on a monthly basis. Our ad hoc committees have really been a key opportunity for our members to discuss and provide feedback to staff on several topics prior to having full CAC discussions and consideration at the regular monthly meetings. Some of these topics have included solar for our communities, the Regional Energy Network, or REN, revisions that you'll see today to the energy proposal evaluation criteria, net billing tariff, and outreach and volunteering opportunities that members within the CAC can support and take part of. Leading up to the regular meetings, members now also receive staff reports for all items on the agenda, as well as multiple briefing opportunities to connect with staff directly should they have any comments or questions that they would like to make before the meeting. Next slide, please. At the end of the fiscal year, and as reported to the board at that time through the monthly report of the CAC members voted new officers for fiscal year 2023-2024, including David Harris, the representative from La Mesa, as vice chair, Laura Cazares, also from La Mesa, as secretary, and Matthew Vasilakis from the city of San Diego as chair, who's joining us today. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. Well, looking forward to working with my CAC members, staff, and legal counsel to update the CAC fiscal year 2022-2023 work plan and other key operational documents, such as revising the scope of work to include an equity overview and expand on sections of our standard operating procedures to continue developing the committee. This concludes the quarterly CAC report. I'm happy to answer any questions with CEO.
All right, thank you both. Oops, sorry. Kimberly, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Okay, I'll now turn it over to the board member for any comments. This is a receive and file, so no motion is necessary.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Member.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank our chair, our new chair for the CAC. Thank you for your time and effort, sir, for helping us make this organization successful. Thank you to you and your members. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll also add, thank you especially for the work that you're doing to kind of more professionalize CAC. I know it was pretty ad hoc and ad libs for the first couple of years, but with the crew that's on board, I think this really helps, and the advice that you share is really helpful to the board. So we certainly appreciate it. We know that that's a commitment of personal time for all the board members, and we're very grateful for that. So thank you. So with that, we'll move right along to item 13. I get the page open.
The chair.
Yeah.
It's a recommendation. Do we need to do the recommendation?
Not for no file, unless with any objection, we've not been doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So for item 13 is approve the appointment of a CAC member representing the city of Imperial Beach. And I'll turn it over to Ziamalis to present the slide.
Good afternoon once more. My name is Xiomara Crespo, Community Engagement Manager, and this item seeks to appoint a member representing Imperial Beach to the Community Advisory Committee. Per our joint powers authority agreement, thank you. The Board of Directors established a community advisory committee comprised of non-board members who provide ongoing citizen support and engagement in the strategic direction, goals, and programs of SCCP. The CAC is advisory only and does not have decision-making authority nor receives any delegation of authority from the Board of Directors. Each director may nominate a committee member and the board shall determine the final selection, who should represent a diverse cross-section of interest and skill sets. Per the CAC's membership terms and criteria, the committee shall be made up of 14 committee members with 2 from each member agency. Members serve up to 2 3-year terms. With that said, SCCP aims to ensure a wide variety of perspectives and participation on the CAC by having members that are residents, business owners, employees, or representatives of a community-based organization, and prioritizing the diverse social, economic, and racial backgrounds that are representative of all residents within SCCP territory. Next slide, please. To fill the vacancy for the city of Imperial Beach, staff promoted applications via social media, the board of directors, the CAC, and directly engaging with member agency staff and the public in Imperial Beach. A total of 2 applications for Imperial Beach were received and reviewed to determine qualifications based on membership criteria, including residence and experience as outlined on their resumes. And staff worked with Director Aguirre to review and determine a nomination for appointment based on the described terms and criteria, and Director Aguirre has nominated Elian Sandoval. We're really thankful for Director Aguirre's responsiveness and collaboration during this process. And if it's appropriate for, based on the chair's recommendation, I would love for Elian to come to the dais and introduce herself to the board.
Please.
Thank you. Hi. Good evening, everyone. It's not, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elian Sandoval. I present before you as a proud native San Diegan, a devoted member of the Imperial Beach community, and a passionate community advocate and organizer. My journey is one shaped by my unique identity, facing challenges that mirror those of many Imperial Beach residents. As a representative of IB, I am eager about contributing my unique perspective and passion to the CAC, striving to create a future where everyone, regardless of their background, can thrive in a sustainable and resilient community. Thank you for considering my commitment to Imperial Beach, and I look forward to working together to shape a brighter, sustainable future for us all.
Welcome.
Thank you. So if approved by the board with a simple majority vote, staff will work with Elian to conduct their oath of office and onboarding, which includes a handbook and all key documents and training. Prior to the next CAC meeting taking place on December 7, 2023, which would be her first meeting. And staff will also update the CAC roster, which is publicly available through SCCP's website, to add her as a representative. So happy to answer any questions that you may have about this.
All
And
right.
thank you for your time.
I will now turn it over to the board members for comments and a motion, and we will start with Mayor Aguirre.
Thank you so much, Chair. I am very proud to nominate Elian Sandoval for consideration for the Citizens Advisory Committee as Imperial Beach's newest representative. Elian cares deeply about advocating for social and environmental justice, both through her career as a healthcare professional and advocate, and as a member of Imperial Beach's community. In IB, she's actively involved in local nonprofits working to provide housing for seniors while bringing a unique equity and public health lens to her efforts. Elian is passionate about addressing climate change and building a sustainable and inclusive future for all. I am confident she will be an excellent addition to the CAC by prioritizing equity and environmental justice while bringing her unique lived experience as a daughter of immigrants. So I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is a motion to approve, right? So with that, do we have a second?
Yes.
Did we do public comments?
Oh, public comment. Is there any public comment? Thank you.
There's no public comment.
All right. Always appreciate those reminders. So we have a motion by Mayor Aguirre to make the appointment. Do I have a
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have any comments by the board members? Not seeing any. Kimberly, please call the vote.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hins, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
All right, congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will now move on to item 14, which is to approve the update to the energy proposal evaluation criteria. I'll turn it over to Kenny to present this item.
Thank you, Chair LaCava and Board. Good evening. Again, Kenny Key, Director of Power Contracts, and happy to be moving forward tonight. This is something that's been a very thoughtful approach that's been in the works for over a year now, as we've been intending to update this and revise it and bring this to you for approval. And so I want to start kind of laying some framework for this criteria. So a couple things. First is that we've been thinking about reevaluating this. Some of that is just due to our experience running some of the RFPs over the last year and how the current criteria works or doesn't work for that process. Distributed scale projects. So I think this is really what we're using for the utility scale and larger projects that could be local, could not be. Next slide, please. Okay, so as you recall, the one thing we haven't changed is that we're still doing 6 criteria that we're evaluating for all these projects. The first thing that we're suggesting to change is to have consistency in how we score each of the 6 criteria. Before, some had 4 rankings, some had 3, it wasn't consistent. We thought both for us and for developers and for review committees will look at this, having consistency across those, and 8F scoring criteria for all 6 would be the first suggested change. So that's what's shown here. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through for this first one, I'll show you the old versus the new. For the rest, I'm just going to show you the new revisions, which will have highlights for what's been changed, and I'll talk through those briefly. So this was kind of in the current criteria, what the location looks like. Next slide, please. So as you can see, and big shout out to our Marcom team, which really helped clean this up quite a bit and make it a lot easier for both buyers and developers to view. And so what we're looking for here, again, shifting to the 5 scoring criteria, but making a couple modifications here on the location front. As you may or may not be aware, before this, we had projects considered the top criteria for local if they were located in San Diego or Imperial County. Some projects in Imperial County are CAISO interconnected and do not require import. Most require import. So us as an LSC has a limited import allocation associated to us. So as much as we want to encourage and contract with those projects, we do have a limited allocation. And so we're suggesting we revise the highest criteria here to be in San Diego and also Imperial County for those that do not require import rights. Imperial that does require import rights would still be able to score in the B or the second highest criteria. So that's the change we're suggesting for this criteria. Next slide, please. For these next 2 fairly minor changes, but we thought it was critical to at least signal to developers as us as LSCs and other CCAs are having to engage with projects earlier on in the process, sometimes before they even have deliverability on a side. We wanted to add into this quantitative evaluation criteria, calling out that we're going to be evaluating, looking at the timelines and expectations to get deliverability, which is critical for the resource adequacy components of the projects. Next slide, please. And again, this is a scoring criteria where we're gauging overall project development, likelihood, experience levels. And so we had interconnection status on here before, wanted to clarify that will also include deliverability. This can look at both specifically the project or how well the developer has a track record of obtaining deliverability. Next slide, please. So these next 3 have, I call it a little more medium to substantive changes. And so I'm going to take some time going through these. So the community benefits section, first, we're clarifying where that would be located for the highest score. We didn't have travel projects or travel lane with consent in there before, so we wanted to clarify that and add that there. The second item, and again, we got a lot of good feedback throughout this process. But we're suggesting that we put in there has set up or committed to a community benefits fund that benefits San Diego Community Power customers. If the board moves forward with approving these revised criteria, this one in particular, there needs to be a pretty thoughtful approach, and we would expect to come back to the board with some thoughts around how to fully implement that, due to the nature of that needing to come to San Diego Community Power, but obviously needing to be run in a way that doesn't suggest or lead to potentially any conflicts of interest. And so we have run some grant programs through our programs department. I think a very similar strategy where any distribution of those funds would be done through an RFP process and essentially having third parties reviewing and selecting those. So I would suggest that we can be able to come back to the board if this is approved before we do a solicitation with some thoughts about how we would administer that, as well as thinking through some criteria, whether that's on a per megawatt hour, per kilowatt basis of what some suggestions of what that criteria might be for project developers to score in that highest criteria. Again, we're not expecting every project to do that, but again, that would be one of the things you would need to do to score on the highest criteria. Would absolutely not be required to move forward. The second one in the medium plus or the B category, this one is essentially shifting from what was our high before. So now if you don't have that benefit fund, the highest you could score would be the B. And then on the low criteria, we're suggesting a change here where even if a project has by its zoning or permitting authorities has been allowed to be cited, it would score in the lowest category. Again, if it's over a certain size, if it's a certain technology, it's within 1,500 feet of residential property. Again, signaling to developers that if those kind of projects are there, probably unlikely you're going to get shortlisted or before us in an RFP process. Next slide, please. On workforce development, in the prior criteria, we had pegged a lot of this to the ISWF policy that San Diego Community Power has. Here, we want to be a little more clear in the high, medium, plus scoring, that in order to get that score for the highest score, the project would have either executed or committed to a full project labor agreement for that project. For the B score, they might not have a full PLA or project labor agreement for the project, but would they commit to local hire commitments, and 50% or more of the labor on the project would be union labor to qualify there. Mediums, minus or C, the prior criteria was before the Inflation Reduction Act, so there are some criteria there that we think makes sense to point to here. And then the low scoring, wanted to clarify there, one or all. So any of those things that they're not doing could fall into low. And that doesn't necessarily have to be they're not doing all of those. So that's the main change on the low criteria. Next slide, please. And this is just again a reference back to what this current policy is. I would say it's very hard to meet all these criteria without a project labor agreement. Scoring criteria did not require that to score highest there. So again, that's one of the reasons we wanted to clarify that in the scoring criteria. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the last one. So on the environmental stewardship criteria, we got a lot of questions from developers through the process of how do we view and how do we look at agricultural land that's no longer suitable for farming and brownfields. So we wanted to clarify that in here that is would be something that we're looking at for the high or medium plus criteria if they're using that land and repurposing that for renewable or sustainable storage development. And then previously, we did not have anything in the environmental scoring criteria related to localized air pollution and the impacts of this. That's a metric that the state does a really good job of monitoring and for local communities as well. And we wanted to have that rise up to the high scoring criteria here, where if a project can show that it's has benefits to that, whether that's repurposing an old facility or leading to potentially the shutdown of some of those facilities in these communities and replacing those with storage or something else that could replace those kind of projects, that would be the high criteria. And the medium plus the B, the main change here between A and B is just where it could be located. So if it has all those beneficial impacts, but it's not located on this previously developed land, we still think that could elevate it to the plus or P scoring criteria. The medium minus C is again kind of just slightly shifting, not adding really, they were just slightly shifting how we were classifying this. That would have been the medium score before. And so if they can demonstrate other benefits, but they're not located in one of these areas. And then the low score for F is they have not even conducted feasibility studies of the project's environmental impacts. And so again, signaling to developers or those who would apply to the RP that if you're that early in the process or you haven't even developed that, probably unlikely you're going to move forward in the shortlisting process in an RFP. Next slide, please. And so this is just, I wanted to give a demonstrated example. Kind of this is what us as staff rolls up when we get all the solicitations and we score these projects. This is what it looks like as we're kind of summarizing. So there's information about the project, the location, the price, the capacity, both on the storage and on the generation, and the COD. And then for each of the 6 criteria, the scoring criteria is given and summarized. And then, we would go to the working group and talk through potentially which projects make sense for shortlisting. So I wanted to provide an example here. Next slide, please. That's everything. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Oops. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for the work on this and the presentation. Kimberly, do we have any public comment?
Jason Anderson of Clean Tech submitted a letter of support, which was posted to the website and emailed to the board of directors.
Okay, thank you for highlighting that. So with that, I will turn it over to the board members for any comments and this. Director Parent.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, and thank you, staff, for the presentation and as we were saying earlier. So I just wanted to, so I think it's a good piece of work. I had a couple of qualifications that I'd like to offer before voting for it related to the community benefit sections. So I think sometimes there's I want to avoid any potential encouragement or situation where providing community benefits could be I want to avoid any enticement of providing community benefits in like suspect manners. I think sometimes these things in other jurisdictions and other contexts have been abused. You see a lot of times like housing developments and the classic example is housing developments in San Francisco, where you can't get anything approved unless you have like there's a community benefits package to powerful nonprofits in the area, and I want to make sure that we don't encourage that kind of activity at San Diego Community Power. And so I think the way to offer that I would suggest as an amendment to this is that we proceed with this, but on the conditions that any community benefit contributions by an applicant or by a developer go to San Diego Community Power for administration, and then as opposed to any third party entity. And secondly, that we ask staff to return back to the board with some proposed criteria for both evaluating and sizing the expected community benefits contributions, and also how any of those received funds will be allocated to achieve those community benefits. I guess that's a motion, but I'm happy to entertain further discussion or clarification.
Yeah.
You want to respond, Kenny?
Sure. Thank you, Director Parent. I think those are all really thoughtful approaches to that. And yeah, I think my only follow-up question would be, is there a time how I've thought through this is we would come back to you with that prior to us issuing any RFPs next year. I think that makes sense. But if there's a different timeline that you would like to please let us.
I think that would be very satisfactory. Yeah.
So if I understand, there's kind of a 2-part motion. One is to move the staff recommendation with the clarification that any community benefit would go to San Diego Community Power for administering. And then secondly, a request for staff to come back.
Yes, and the staff and I guess the 2 elements of that second part would be they would come back both to help us determine sort of the scale of community benefit, right? Are we expecting that $1 million contract is going to have $2 million of community benefits, or $10,000 or something, you know, whatever that figure is. And then secondly, to propose, you know, criteria and a criteria and a process by which we would allocate any of those funds that we receive for community benefit purposes. Is that clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other comments? Does somebody want a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's a question to piggyback Director Parent. Prior to this, I read in some of our, prior to this, Mr. Chairman, we have some community benefits that Seneca Foundation has been administering. Is that something separate? This will be separate, correct?
Kenny, do you wanna?
Mr. Key?
Sure, yeah, and I'll let Jack touch on this a little bit as well, but currently none of we have a few, I think only one agreement to date that has a community benefit fund portion of the contract. How all these are structured is typically the developer is not required to supply those funds until COD. So we have probably until 25 or 26 before we receive those funds.
I see.
The funds that are currently being administered for the grant programs are separate from any of these types of community benefit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the clarification.
Jack, do you want to add?
I'll just quickly add that we have the existing administrative infrastructure to deliver these types of resources, and that's for the current community grant program and municipal grant program as well.
Thank you.
We'll be evaluating how we can utilize these funds with that as existing infrastructure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll second the motion.
Okay, yeah. Well, I had one question, I've got a few questions. To the point of my colleagues here, project in Nevada comes up with a community benefit. It's a little bit difficult. Is it difficult for us to do a community benefit to a community that's impacted around a project in Nevada? Or would we be bringing those funds here locally to use them wisely to benefit within our member agencies?
Yeah, great question, Chair Alcala. So how we thought through and get a lot of good feedback from numerous parties and how we ended up wording the highest scoring criteria. So again, if a project is developed out of state or anywhere else, they may have localized benefit programs that they're doing already as part of that project. The highest they'd be able to score for that, though, would be the medium plus B criteria, which factors in that the project is already doing some kind of community benefits. In order to get the highest criteria, though, to get the A score, they would also need to commit, or if they don't have anything else, they would still need to commit to a community benefit fund that specifically, to your point earlier, would go to San Diego Community Power to be administered for local benefits to our constituents.
Okay. And then the second question, trying to take the letter from Clean Tech and simplify it. I think there was a concern, some projects require a discretionary permit by an agency that may have a community benefit component already in that. Would we expect something additive on top of that, or would we consider something they've already obligated to do?
Sure.
And before you answer, what I'm thinking about is the Jacumba project, where the county had already made some positions. I found them to be interesting choices where they decided that those community benefits should go to, but that was their choice. So how would we deal with it when they've already gotten some
Sure.
from a land use?
Yeah, great question. So I think a similar answer to my last one, which would be whether permitting agency is putting that requirement on, or the developer is just choosing to do that in their area. That would help elevate the project to potentially that C or B score, because it's demonstrating community benefits, but would not qualify for how we currently frame the A score, because that would be an additional benefit fund that again would go directly to be administered by San Diego Community Power. All right. And but to be clear, again, I want to be clear, we're not expecting every project to get that A score across all these criteria.
Okay.
So there's probably going to be a number of projects that we would bring to you in the coming years that have gone through all this process and didn't get an A for community benefits, or didn't get any out of the criteria.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands up. I think it was a good discussion. Again, thank you to staff for the work And I really appreciate going back, looking at what you've done and whether it's working and then always that continual improvement there. So thank you for that. So we do have a motion by Director Parent and a second by Mayor McCann. Kimberly, please call the vote.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hensy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I know you're not going anywhere. So item 15 is to approve the Erevan Avocet standalone storage energies service agreement. And we'll turn it back over to you again, Kenny, for your presentation on this item.
Thank you, Chair McCullough. Yes, so this is a project that came through. San Diego Community Power ran RFP for standalone storage projects earlier this year. This was one of the projects that was shortlisted through that process through consultation with the Energy Contract Working Group. So we're excited to bring it today. So that was the RFO was issued in April of this year. The projects we were looking for, again, we're looking for RA, we're looking for capacity attributes, potentially energy arbitrage from these standalone storage projects to really start building the foundations of our portfolio along with the renewable assets that we're adding. We did get a pretty robust response, and this project was one of the highest scoring projects across the criteria. So we're very excited to bring this to you today. Next slide, please. So this is a quick overview of the project. So it's a fairly large standalone storage project. It's 200 megawatts, a 4-hour battery, so 800 megawatt hour project. It's located in Los Angeles County near Carson in an industrial area that them and multiple other developers are repurposing some sites there. And this speaks to what I just talked about, some of those localized air pollution impacts. And I'll get to this in a couple slides, but I think it's worthwhile. Why this is up there, you can kind of see what the air looks like. These projects being put there really helps mitigate some of the localized air pollution from some of the peaker plants that are there, as well as this and others combined as they come online will kind of lead to help some of those be phased out or shut down to really reduce some of those localized pollution impacts in the area. So some key parts of this contract. So this is going to be a full tolling agreement. So we'll get some of the energy arbitrage value from this, the ancillary services value, as well as the resource adequacy benefits. The resource adequacy benefits of this project in particular are important because we have midterm reliability obligations. This project is slated to be online April 15th of 2026 ahead of the June 1st MTR compliance deadline. So it would be significant volumes to help us meet that compliance obligation. We're looking for a 15-year term. And we do have protections in there with compensation if it fails to meet certain performance requirements for our milestones in the contract. Next slide, please. So again, the project already has full capacity deliverability status. So once it hits COD, it'll be ready to deliver that and RA to us. And it's critical kind of for our midterm reliability obligations in 2026 and beyond. The pricing was competitive as we evaluated that and did our quantitative analysis under the scoring criteria. So it scored very well. And the long-term procurement of this and locking in this for 15 years provides a lot of certainty regarding the energy arbitration, the ancillary services, and the RA from these projects. And this is a well-known developer. They have a large portfolio over 10 gigawatts. And I'll note that they're the same developer of another project in our portfolio, the Vikings solar storage project. So we have a good track record with them. They have a good track record of these projects online. Some of the workforce development and community benefit highlights. The project will have about 100 construction jobs during the construction of the project. About 4 of those will be permanent jobs once the project is online. They're committed to using union labor and having a full PLA for the project, and they've already had commitment letters with both the local IBEV and the state construction trade councils. And I mentioned this earlier, so I need to go fully into this, but one of the other benefits we're looking at from the environmental perspective is, again, the shutdown or phase out of a few of the other thermal generation plants that are in the area with them and other storage projects that will come online in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Kimberly, any public comment?
There's no public comment.
All right, so I'll turn it over to the board members for comments, and we do need a motion on this.
Chairman, where's Avocet? Is that local company?
No, so sorry. Avocet is the project name. Arivon is the developer.
The developer's local?
No, the developer's not local.
So there, yes, we're creating jobs, but it's not for local, not for our local people in our community, correct?
Correct. I mean, we've had some discussions with local labor, not specifically around this project, but in projects in general. And feedback we've gotten from them to date has been projects that, especially the projects that are in Los Angeles County and Riverside County that are so close, they tend to have, what's the correct terminology? Reciprocity agreements with them and the local IBEV, which is there. So some of the local labor from here could potentially be working on this project. There's no firm commitments for that. That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that we continue to create jobs through these contracts, but we also hope that our local people in our jurisdictions would be given the opportunity to take advantage of these jobs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Director Yamani.
Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the item.
And I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Fine. Seeing no other comments, well, I think, as we'll continue to revisit with what our strategic plan is, what our goals are, they're not always consistent. I don't think this contract bumped anybody within the San Diego County area, which would have been a preference, but this is a pretty significant storage facility, so I know staff's committed to trying to figure out how we do that. So anyway, but I appreciate Director Yamani raising the issue. It's important.
Sir, soon,
Okay.
very soon. We will have
Yeah.
local soon.
There we go. Kimberly, please call the vote.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hensy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna give you a little bit of a break then. So we'll now move on to item 16, which is the last item on our action agenda. To approve the Pomona 2 standalone energy storage services agreement. So tongue twister. I'll turn it over to Byron Vosper to present this item. Byron?
Thank you, Chair. Directors, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? We good?
A little louder.
A little louder.
Is that better? All right. Not many people asked of me, Chair, so Aaron's quiet. No, that sounds great. And again, thanks, Kenny, for all of the work and the presentation earlier. It's a nice primer. Item 15 is a great primer for item 16. It's going to look similar, but it's a little smaller and more straightforward. So hopefully that sets us up well. I also want to give a shout out to Andrea Torres, one of our team members in attendance tonight, but it was done almost all the heavy lifting of this negotiation as well. So she will be here in her stead. So this is the Pomona energy storage contract we've been working on for quite a while now. We hope to bring this to you a few months ago, but the negotiation just kind of dragged out a little bit. It's a 20 megawatt. So again, Kenny just talked about a 200 megawatt. So this is a 20 megawatt contract for a 2-hour battery in LA County. And you can see here on the photos, first of all, the industrial area, kind of similar as the Carson area here. This one project is in an industrial area. And so not too much concern about greenfield impacts. And again, in these congested areas as well, kind of improving local air quality concerns with the battery storage and carbon free resources. And the map up there as well, also just noted where the point is in the broader LA area. Key terms are really similar to the last contract. We're getting full dispatchability, so it's a full tolling resource with RA. This project has FCDS, so full capacity available to us already. And again, the added benefit is it's actually already online. So this has been constructed, so it's not even 2 or 3 years out like the previous one was. This resource is all already online and delivering. Actually, has been delivering to us under a short-term agreement while we hammer out long-term agreement. So it's a fixed capacity price for 15 years, fully operational, as I mentioned. And then there are the typical adjustments to payment structures to ensure that the performs as expected. Next slide, please. And the analysis here is relatively straightforward. It's online, it's operational. We've already buying capacity from this resource for the last 4 months, I believe. And as it is online in 23 and This contract will start in 2024. It helps us meet the midterm reliability obligations that we have to bring new clean capacity online in California between 2023 and 2028. So this helps us meet some of those timelines that we have for PUC mandate. And again, similarly, provides capacity, energy arbitrage, and ancillary services value to us over the 15-year term. And given especially given the early online date, it's very priced. And again, with Ormat Technologies, we had another contract with them as well for the Brawley Solar Facility redeveloping with our experienced developer and asset owner. So we're excited about continuing the partnership with them. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have them. Otherwise, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Byron. Kimberly, do we have any public comment on this one?
There is no public comment.
All right, I'll turn it over to the board members for comments and the motion. Mayor McCann.
No questions. If there are none, and I just wanted to thank you, Byron, and I will make the motion to approve the item. So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other hands raised. Kimberly, please call the vote.
Director Aguirre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Hensy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director McCann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Parent, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Yamani, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair LaCava, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all directors voting yes.
Okay, that ends our informational and discussion items. So from here, we'll go to report, and we'll start out with a report from our CEO, Karen Burns.
Good evening, Chair and board members. Good evening to the public. Next slide, please. So we have been out and about in the community. Our public affairs team continues to partner with organizations across the region to bring SDCP into the community and connect with the customers we serve. This month, we joined our community advisory members, Matt Harris and Lauren Cazares in La Mesa at the La Mesa Parks Appreciation Day. Our outreach team also tabled at the Suncoast Farmers Market in Imperial Beach to connect with customers and answer questions. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. And last week, SDCP joined Business for Good at the Doing Business for Good Summit. Last slide. And Jen LeBron participated in a panel about communicating social good and policy. Okay. So this slide, last week I had the pleasure of participating in a fireside chat with Truckee Town Council member and former Mayor Courtney Henderson, moderated by Patricia Watts of FCI Management at the California Energy and Demand Management Council's Fall Symposium. Courtney and I spoke about the critical role of local governments in advancing California's clean energy and climate goals. And it was a great opportunity to share how San Diego Community Power is working towards a clean energy future. Yesterday, I was up in Los Angeles, attending Volatility's annual U.S. Energy Storage Outlook event, where I spoke on a panel about the opportunity for energy storage investment in California. Our COO, Jack Clark, has also provided SDCP updates to the City of San Diego last month, including the City Council's Environment Committee and the city's Franchise Compliance Review Committee. Next slide, please. I am so glad that tonight you had an opportunity to meet two of our new team members, and we are still hiring. We are continuing to build out our dream team and interviewing for 4 positions. Next slide, please. As you know, we outgrew our former space in mid-October and have just signed and moved into it with a 2-year with a 1-year optional extension for our new space in Liberty Station. We successfully completed our move earlier this month and welcome you to come visit. Our ever-growing team is really excited to be in this new space together. It's all in one location, all on one floor, and there is room for growth. So as we continue to grow as an organization, we'll evaluate our current and future space needs. This includes the potential opportunity to create a public meeting space for future SDCP office site. So given where we are and that there are a lot of potential strategic initiatives that could impact our space and our spacing needs, we plan to revisit the long-term lease discussion sometime in early 2025. Thank you for your support and partnership as we plan for the future of our organization. Thank you.
Okay. With that, does our general counsel have anything to report?
All's quiet in the legal world.
Oh, there we go. That's always a good sign. Do any of our directors want to offer anything? Oh, Mayor Aguirre.
Thank you, Chair. No, I just want to commend for being such a dynamic leader, getting out there, doing such outreach to the community. I want to especially thank her for coming to Imperial Beach to the Suncoast Market. Thank you.
And not seeing any, that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. And we will now go into closed session. We have two items in closed session, one conference with labor negotiators and two public employee appointment recruitment updates. Kimberly, do we have any public comment on the closed session items?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so now we will convene in closed session and there will be a report out.
We lost audio. I don't know if you guys can hear us. Hello.
Jordan?
Are we?
Yeah, so we need to be able to mute so that it's a closed session, so nobody else can hear. What Jordan is saying, so should they call in on someone's cell phone and be put on speaker?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor Aguirre, can you call Karen's cell phone number? And she'll put you on speaker. And then Director Hinsey, do you have someone's cell phone number that you could call?
I can call, let me see if I have. No, I don't have any other board members' numbers besides Paloma. And Tara's not there, right?
Call Paloma and then Paloma can call Karen a three-way.
I think so.
You want to try a three-way
That
call?
works.
Okay, I'll call Paloma.
Okay, sounds good. See you.
Okay.
So we should log off, right?
Pardon?
How do they do that? Do they just mute?
No, just stay in. You'll be muted.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
make
got
sure
it.
You're muted on there.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
We go to the next slide.
Do we have to come back out of closed session? Report out?
Yeah.
No.
But we have to wait. Yeah, they came back. Perfect. So with that, we are, can you please call the roll, Kimberly?
Yes. City of San Diego Representative,
LaCava present.
County of San Diego Representative, Imperial Beach Representative,
Here.
La Mesa Representative,
Here.
National City Representative.
Here.
Chula Vista Representative,
McCann present.
Encinitas Representative.
Lindsay here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. Is there a report out from closed session?
There is no report tonight, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. So with that, that brings us to the end of our agenda, and I appreciate everyone's participation today. We are adjourned until the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Sandy Community Power on December 14th, 2023. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.